Women's role during World War II. According to Dictionary.com, a man's work is from sun to sun, but a woman's work is never done. Women from the beginning of time have always stepped up to the plate and will do anything and everything they possibly can. This is no different than during and after World War II. The women's role before World War II was to be a housewife or mother and just tend to the house and children. Once the war came, women had to say goodbye to their husbands, fathers, brothers, and children without knowing if they would return home. Women would marry their high school sweethearts because the men were about to leave for the war. Could you imagine having to kiss your husband goodbye and it be years before you would be able to see them again? Or worse, that kiss goodbye will be the last you will ever receive from them. When the men left for the war, there was no one to work the factories, the office jobs, teachers, and so on. Women were not hesitant to go to work so that they could help provide and do their part during the war. Women were even mechanics. They did everything that the men did before they went to war. Eisenhower praised the women because without their contributions, the war would not have been won. Women during the war were not paid the same as men were. There was no such thing yet as equal pay for equal work, like there is today. Women were paid no more than 50% of what a man made. So if a man was a mechanic making $15 an hour, the woman doing his job during the war would only make $7.50. Could you imagine how they felt deep down about this? Women even became pilots in the military and nurses that would treat the wounded on the battlefield. According to the National World War II Museum in New Orleans, nearly 350,000 American women served in uniform, both at home and abroad, volunteering for the newly formed Women's Army Auxiliary. The WAACs, later renamed the Women's Army Corps, the Navy's Women's Reserve, the WAVES, WAVES, the Marine Corps Women's Reserves, the Coast Guard Women's Reserve, SPARES, SPARS, the Women's Air Force Service Pilots, WASP, WASPS, the Army Nurses Corps, and the Navy Nurse Corps. When the war was over, the women started trying to get out of the military, and they could not receive the same benefits as men. Women were not allowed to receive the GI Bill, which helps pays for college. After the war, the women were expected to go back to the way things were before the war. They were supposed to go back to be the housewife and mother and not work. The women liked having jobs and helping to provide. From personal experience, men view women as property and want them to bow down to them no matter what and do what they want when they want. In my first marriage, this was my husband's view on the world of women. And when I altered from what he wanted, consequences followed. When a woman is determined to do something, nothing will stand in her way. Women started going to college, working harder to get jobs, and to get equal pay for their work. After the baby boom, women started fighting for the right for contraceptive, which is birth control. Without them fighting for the rights to women being able to purchase and take contraceptive, the science behind this would not be as advanced as it is today. Women also started fighting for the right to have an abortion. Women now have the right to abort a fetus up to 20 weeks. Without these brave women in the last decades, women would not have the same opportunities as we do today. Our ancestors fought for us to be able to go to college, be equal to men, and have a better life than they ever had. That is the goal of every mother, that her children succeed her in life, that they do better, have a big heart, and to love with all their hearts. Without a mother's love, we would not be able to grow as human beings.